Hey guys, today on Warcraft Monday, that's what I'm gonna call it, Warcraft Monday. I've decided to watch a YouTube channel, a YouTube creator named Platinum WoW. I've been suggested that I should watch some of his videos or some of her videos. I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman, but they have a lot of videos on their channel, and I wasn't really sure which one should I choose, so I decided to pick Warcraft's Most Incompetent King Part 1 and Part 2. Now, if you have any more suggestions from Platinum WoW or any other World of Warcraft YouTube creator, you can send it my way in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, let's give it a try. Let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
For the longest time, the only thing we knew about Gilneas was the impenetrable wall that blocked them off from the rest of the outside world.
We're back at Gilneas. Okay, let's hear what he has to say.
But during the Cataclysm, their defenses crumbled, and it was clear that within the secluded kingdom, it was not always sunshine and rainbows. Gilneas' downfall was not a sudden collapse like some might think. The root of the kingdom's problem was a slow deterioration because of their king and his more than questionable decisions.
Okay, I didn't know about Gilneas had like a royal family or like a king or queen. I knew it was like a city state, right? Near the coast, and they had their huge wall, and they had the Worgen who were cursed. So I didn't really know about their king and queen or the royalty family and all that kind of stuff. So this is quite interesting. Let's continue.
Our story begins with the human kingdoms prospering greatly. The Empire of Arathor had evolved into multiple city-states that flourished into their own separate kingdoms, who dominate a good chunk of the continent. In its prime, the land owned by Gilneas was much larger than we know today. They held control over parts of Silverpine Forest, Hillsbrad Foothills, and even an island called Zoldair, a mysterious place we still haven't seen to this day in-game. But I'm getting off track. Point is, everybody's doing great. Until there was 7-foot-tall roided-up orcs from another world that poured out of the Dark Portal. This overwhelming alien threat rampaged up north and left Stormwind City in rubble. If this threat wasn't managed, these otherworldly savages would be on the other kingdom's doorstep next. With great haste, King Tyrannus Menethil met with Anduin Lothar and then organized a meeting with all of the other human kingdoms so they could band together. King Tyrannus pleaded for the aid of the other kingdoms, and a good majority of them helped without question. This included the kingdoms like Kul Tiras, Stromgarde, Dalaran, Alterac, and Gilneas. Sort of. Genn Greymane heeded the advice of his two advisors. One was Lord Darius Crowley, and the other was Lord Vincent Godfrey. There was also this guy named Baron Ashbury, but he literally did nothing, so I'm just not going to include him. Darius was enthusiastic about the Gilnean military lending aid to their sister nations. It would give them a tight bond with the other kingdoms, and they would grow together. But Lord Vincent Godfrey, he had other plans. He felt like Darius was a bit too optimistic, and instead suggested that they only send a very small token force of soldiers to help. Now, despite Genn's boasting of how he had the strongest military in all of the Eastern Kingdom...
Okay, Genn Greymane was the king of Gilneas? Okay, that I didn't know about. That's actually shocking.
victims. He wasn't too thrilled about dealing with other people's problems, so he took the advice from Godfrey, and only sent a small fraction of support to help the alliance of Lordaeron. Oh, come on, Genn. Maybe you can just help out a little bit more. No. Lord Greymane, please, maybe a... Nope. How about you... Bruh. Despite Genn's unwillingness to cooperate, the humans win the Second War and push the orcs back into the Dark Portal. But Genn still was not happy. During the war, one of the kings that was a part of the alliance betrayed them, confirming Genn's distaste for helping others. Also, Gilnean taxpayers had to fork up the gold to pay for orc internment camps and the construction of Netherguard Keep. Lord Greymane started to question why he even joined the alliance in the first place. The only thing that had happened since he joined was he lost a bunch of gold and ended up with a bunch of dead Gilneans. So Lord Greymane pulled out of the alliance and focused on securing his kingdom's isolation. Deep within Lord Greymane's manor, he had an epiphany. What better way to isolate his kingdom than building a giant wall? Now, one would think the reasonable thing to do would be to build a wall around all of the land owned by Gilneas. Now, the thing is, building a wall that big would take a ridiculous amount of gold and resources. Impossible! It was Lord Godfrey's suggestion that the wall be built into the mountainside instead. This would make the wall cheaper and more practical since it used the natural land to their advantage. The problem is that they would be blocking off a good chunk of their citizens from the rest of their kingdom, effectively abandoning them in the process. But these lands that they would be cutting off were owned by Darius Crowley, that alliance sympathizer. But, that's okay. Genn was confident that Crowley would understand his reasoning. Crowley did not understand his reasoning. In fact, he was pretty pissed, and so were the people of Briarwood Village, the town that was blocked off from the rest of Gilnean society.
I have to say this content is gold. I'm really enjoying how he did this. I don't know, how maybe these people are from the game as well, and then he imported them and put them in his video. But really, I'm enjoying this. This is so funny.
Oi! Piss off! Despite the resistance, the wall was eventually constructed. Tensions between Crowley and Genn were incredibly high, but they were able to maintain their differences. But this barely maintained peace would not last for long. While Gilneas was on the cusp of a civil war, the Scourge was busy invading the lands of Lordaeron to the north. As the kingdom crumbled to the might of the Plague of Undeath, they begged Gilneas for aid, and the people, who once called themselves proud Gilneans, pounded on the wall, hoping that the king they trusted would give them salvation. But the only response they received was silence. Shoot to kill! Bloody hell. If I knew the Scourge would invade, I would have planned accordingly. Whatever tricks you have up your sleeve, they better work.
Tricks? Oh, no. My creatures are not mere tricks. I prefer the term very good boys.
I don't know what you mean, they're just dogs. Surely they can't... Ah!
Oh, Genn, I must warn you. These creatures have an unsatiable bloodlust. Once they are released, there is no turning back.
To be frank with you, Archmage, I have no choice. You are my last bastion of hope, Harugal, and I will see it done.
Whatever you wish, my lord.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that Genn was the king. I'm thinking he is the king, right, of Gilneas, or he is one of the lords of Gilneas, but one of the most powerful lords. But I think he's the king. I'm shocked. You know, all that time that I've been watching him from the World of Warcraft cinematics and trailers, I just never really thought of him as a king. I just thought he was, a soldier from Gilneas who joined up with the kings of Stormwind and protected the king. Who was the king before Anduin? His father. I forgot his name now. But yeah, he protected his father. He tried to protect Anduin, and it would just continue on like that. I just didn't think of him as one of the kings of Gilneas or a lord in Gilneas. I'm still quite shocked about that, and I kind of understand, his position in terms of the first and probably the second Orc invasions. That you can't really trust his neighbors. You can't really trust other human kingdoms because, some of them might have their own interests in this wars, and, they might betray everybody else just to make sure that their ambitions succeed. So I understand where he stands with that, that he can't really trust all these people. Because I think even before the Orcs invaded, they had infightings between each other, the different kingdoms, right? I'm not sure about that. You guys in the comment section, you guys can tell me. But I understand how he might feel about these other kingdoms and these other kings who are trying to join forces into an alliance to defeat the Orcs. So I understood him there. But now where he started building the wall around Gilneas, while particularly a small part of Gilneas, while the rest of the kingdom is left to fend for themselves. I think that was... Well, now that we know that the Scourge is here, maybe it was a good idea, but still it kind of feels like a bad idea, He should have spent more of that money on either the navy or improving his military, in terms of military forts and garrisons of troops and all these other types of things that he could have invested that money in instead of building a wall. But okay.
At the king's discretion, Archmage Arukal unleashed the power of the Worgen on the Scourge, summoning them from an unknown realm he did not truly understand.
Go, attack my pets! Yes, who's a good boy? Slash them to bits!
Arugal knew the Worgen were ferocious, but he underestimated how bloodthirsty they really were, and once all the Scourge were defeated, the Worgen's ferocity was aimed towards the remaining citizens of Briarwood Village.
Bad dog, no! Stop this instant!
Arugal was driven mad with grief as the Worgens killed or infected the remaining survivors with the curse, and he just gave up and spent the rest of his days crying in Shadowfang Keep with his Worgen that he now called his children.
Oh, I am so sad. Oh, thank you, my son.
As chaos reigned beyond the wall, Tensions exploded within Gilneas when citizens found out about the innocents that were caught in the crossfire. And in an act of defiance, Darius sent a small group of Gilnean soldiers to help with the alliance in the Third War without the approval of King Greymane. Greymane was livid at Darius's careless decision and considered it an act of treason. This outrage sparked an uprising within the city. An organization called the Northgate Rebels started to form, and Darius Crowley was their leader. They revolted against their king and his tyranny. This was the breaking point that spiraled Gilneas into a full-blown civil war. One side was the rebels, that was led by Darius, and the other was the loyalists that sided with their king. Blood was shed on the streets of the city, and the climax of the conflict was when Darius and his rebels smuggled in heavy artillery into Gilneas with plans of leveling the city if it came to it. Unfortunately, the remaining rebels, including Darius, were captured before they could even use their firepower and were thrown in the stone-walled prison.
That would have been madness. Destroying the very infrastructure that you will need in the future just to gain a small victory. I understand that it's a civil war, but try to win it in a different way that doesn't involve destroying public infrastructure. Because if that entire city is destroyed, what's going to be left for the people? They're going to be starving. They're going to be homeless. There's going to be chaos. What will you be leading if you had destroyed everything there? So yeah. Genn did good here by capturing these traitors, or should I say these rebels, yeah.
You to unhand me this instant.
Damn it, Genn. Do you not understand? This is your doing. You cannot pretend like the outside world doesn't exist. You've killed your own people in this pointless escapade for independence, and it will only get worse.
I do what I must to keep Gilneas safe. You cannot say the same, Crowley.
This is ridiculous!
The Gilnean people's blood is on your hands, Genn.
Genn? Are you listening?
La 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 la, I cannot hear you.
You made.
For a small amount of time, Gilneas had much needed peace, but the curse that doomed the lands beyond the wall had found itself within.
Oh, you know what? You guys are great.
No, you're great.
Oh, cheers, lads. Oh, why hello there, you little pup. Come on, don't be shy, come here. Come on, let me give you a good old...
Once again, tensions began to rise within Gilneas, but for much more horrifying reasons. Murders labeled as the Starlight Slasher killings left Gilnean people in horror. And at first, people assumed these murders were committed by the Northgate Rebellion, but there too was whispers that the murders were performed by a mysterious cult that willingly submitted themselves to the Worgen curse.
Oh, shut up!
Genn refused to admit that the Worgen had reached the wall. It would only lead to utter chaos within the city. He wanted to hide the truth from his people. But there was no denying the curse had infected the city. Genn made the grave mistake of letting in injured Gilnean guards that fought the Worgen outside of the wall, and now this bizarre rumor of a cult was emerging. Things were getting out of hand. and if Genn wanted to fix the problems he got himself into, he'd have to handle it himself. It was a
Genn wasn't really the best leader for Gilneas, probably at the time, because of all of these problems. Either it's with the orcs or it's with the scourge, and his solutions to dealing with these problems resulted in more problems, and it's all coming together like a perfect storm around Gilneas, and it's unfortunate, but this is the leadership of Gilneas, and I still like him as a character. Like, what he's done so far for his kingdom, I think any other person would have done as well, probably. I mean, I think I would have done the same in terms of building the wall and trying to protect his people. But the way he's gone about it, I do question it. It's just that, probably he didn't really have more choices to choose from, So, yeah. Genn is trying. He's trying.
An occurrence, Greymane and his closest noble allies would organize hunting parties on every full moon, culling the Worgen population for sport and for vengeance.
Greymane, have a gander at this beast. I reckon you should join us in a group photo.
No, this one's mine. Suit yourself.
Come on, you beast. I helped bring you into this world, and I will take you out of it.
Are you into furries?
What?
My lord, Greymane, are you alright?
I need to patch myself up before they find me. Much better. Ah, there you are, my lord. Did he touch ya?
I'm fine. Just bastard almost got me. But he didn't lay a scratch on me, that's for sure.
Blimey, I'm glad you're safe, my lord. Would have to shoot you on sight if that bloody beast got a bite on you.
Yeah, right. Now infected with the curse, Greymane frequently hides away in his observatory, rather than going on what he now deemed as pointless and dangerous hunts. Things were looking grim for Greymane until a surprising new ally appeared on the horizon. Night elves from a far distant land traveled to Gilneas to help them with the Worgen. The ancient curse was ultimately their doing thousands and thousands of years ago, so they deemed themselves responsible for this plight. One night elf in particular was named Belisra, and she helped fight back Greymane's affliction in secret. Not even the nobles, Genn's children, or his own wife knew about this partnership with Belisra. And I know what you're thinking, no, it was a strictly business relationship. She just shot the power of the moon at him.
Okay, I didn't even know that Genn had a family. To me, it just seemed like a loner, and he was loyal to the kings of Stormwind. I just never knew he had a family, so this is all new to me.
And that's not an innuendo. She literally did that.
I cannot thank you, elves, enough. Perhaps, with your aid, Gilneas can be brought to salvation, and my people can be free once more. Whatever it takes, Lord Greymane. The Kaldorite...
My lord, the city of Gilneas is under siege by the beasts. I'm talking bloody hundreds of them. I can't believe my eyes. You must come quick.
No! My city! I need my people evacuated this instant!
Hey, so I'm kind of having second thoughts about this whole helping humans thing.
Well guys, that's it for part 1 of Warcraft's Most Incompetent King. Wow. I didn't know Genn Greymane was the King of Gilneas. I'm still trying to process that, but you know, like I've said before, Genn, he tried his best with what he had, and he also understood the kind of political games that are being played by the different human kingdoms during that time. So I understand that he couldn't really trust them 100% in terms of forming an alliance to defeat the orcs. But also his decisions in trying to keep his people safe by building walls, by dividing his people from those who live in the lowlands, or should I say the farmlands and the bigger pastures, and walling them off from the city center and everybody else in Gilneas. I think that was a bad mistake. He should have invested all of that money in terms of improving his military, giving them, better technology, making up a naval force or something, instead of building up a wall. And also his decision to bring in the magician, or the warlock, what's his name again? Orgal. I think his name was Orgal. And having him summon these Worgen from a different universe to come and help fight against the Scourge. It was also like a quick fix band-aid to a far larger problem, and it backfired. Now the Worgen were attacking the people of Gilneas. They were attacking inside the wall, outside the wall. The king himself, Genn, got infected. He became a Worgen. Luckily the night elves came with Bull Isra, who came to help out the king. But things are just getting worse. Things are just unraveling far faster than he can find a way to fix them. So it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that, Gilneas has to be suffering through all of these things because of the rash, almost emotional decisions made by their king, and even the lords of the different lands within Gilneas also having their own interests and their own thoughts on how to defend the people. Instead of having one voice being led by the king, give the king advice, but ultimately it's his decision. Try to support him as much as possible, and also the king has to support his lords as much as possible in terms of defense, in terms of whatever they want. They just didn't have that kind of communication. Everybody was trying to talk over everybody else, and in the end it's the people who are suffering now because of the decisions of these men in power. But yeah, it's really unfortunate what happened to Gilneas. And guys, I guess that's it for part 1. Part 2 is next. It'll be on the next video, so tune in to that one as well. I think I'll show it here. You'll see it there, like the box. Just click on it and then you'll be able to go to part 2. But yeah, I really like Platinum WoW. Platinum WoW is doing a good job here. Platinum WoW is doing a very good job. I'm enjoying this. Okay, part 2.